So in the last class, we had just started on how a CO2 laser works. What are the energy levels that participate in the lasing process? And we were just beginning to understand the mechanism of lasing. So we know that in case of a CO2 laser, the levels that are participating in the lasing process, they comprise of all the three vibrational modes. So as we show here, this is the ladder of symmetric stretch. This is the ladder of bending mode, and this is the ladder of asymmetric. You can understand, no? So this is 0, 0, 1. Here you have 0, 1, 0, 0 to 0. So already you have two quanta of bending mode, and this is one quantum of asymmetric stretch mode. So these are basically the three vibrational ladders that a CO2 molecule has, and all these three participate in the lasing process. So I have just demarcated them for your understanding. Let us not make it clumsier, so I will remove it. Yeah. So in the discharge, the molecules from the ground level are excited to the upper laser level. So we have CO2 from the ground level going to the colliding with the electrons which are energetic, and this takes them to the upper level, that is 0, 0, 1, and this electron will be of a reduced energy, kinetic energy. Okay. So this is the method of excitation. Now we have said that this is the lower laser level, and this is also another lower laser level. Why we have two lower laser levels? Yes, that is because there is a, you see, when we have already known what are the rules for vibrational transitions. We have known that delta V should be equal to plus minus 1. So when we have, this is 0, 0, 1, so you have uh, one quantum of asymmetric stretch, and here you have one quantum of symmetric stretch. So the delta V for symmetric stretch mode is plus 1, and the delta V for asymmetric stretch mode is minus 1. So it falls in this regime, and this is an allowed transition, and so this has a high cross section, and this is as we know, it is an allowed vibrational transition. On the other hand, when you see this particular uh, vibrational level, this is delta V, it has two quanta of bending mode, whereas here it is 0. So what is the delta V here? Delta V is plus 2. So it is not really satisfying this particular rule, and therefore, although it is not allowed, there is a finite probability of this particular transition, but it is much poorer as compared to this. In fact, this transition will not laze on its own ever, and cross section for this is 10 times or 12 or even more less as compared to this. But there is a probability of this transition as well, and in a CO2 laser, by making special provisions, one can get lasing on in the 9 micron band. So this is called 9 micron band and 10 micron band. So when you have lasing from the 001 to 100, we get 10 micron band. What is meant by 10 micron? It is the energy difference between this to this gives rise to radiation which has wavelength in the 10 micron region. The energy difference between this and this is such that when there is a transition, it gives rise to radiation with wavelength in the 9 micron. 9.6 micron is the central wavelength in the 9 micron region, and therefore this is called 9 micron band and this is called 10 micron band. So once the population inversion is created, okay, once the population inversion is created, then lasing can take place. Now we have said that upper level is populated by collision of the ground molecules with energetic electrons, right? But is it not possible that ground level CO2 molecules will collide with electrons and get excited to 100 or 020? Is it not possible? Well, in a discharge, you have electrons of all kinds of energies, because they will also have that Boltzmann distribution. So you have electrons of various energies, and these they can collide with ground CO2 molecules and excite them to various energy levels. But luckily, nature has given an advantage for 001 here. You see, zeros in from 000 to 001. What is delta V? So what is the delta V? Delta V is plus 1. So this is optically allowed, right? This is optically allowed, and therefore it is a known what do you say? It is a fact that uh, electronic excitation is also more. The cross section or the probability of electronic excitation is more for those transitions that are also optically allowed. Okay, so because this transition is optically allowed, the probability of this particular reaction to happen is also greater than CO2 000 plus electron coming to CO2, sorry, 100. Now you will say 100, why it is not allowed? Here also delta V is equal to 1. Well, uh, whether one thing is delta V should be equal to 1. The other thing is to have a vibrational transition, there should be a change in dipole moment. But in symmetric stretch, there is no change in dipole moment. Okay, you can actually imagine that it is actually symmetrically moving. What is a dipole moment? What is a dipole moment? Dipole moment, when we say there is no dipole moment, that means the positive and the negative charge, the centers of the positive and negative charge, they coincide with each other, and we say that there is no dipole moment. The molecule does not have dipole moment. But when there is a separation in the positive and the negative charge, there is a separation, okay? Then we say that a dipole moment is generated, and this dipole moment mu is equal to, suppose this is q into r, where r is a vector going from positive to negative. So this is the dipole moment. So in case of symmetric stretch, there is the symmetricity of the stretching. You can understand even from the look of that stretching mode that there is no change, there is no such dipole moment getting created, and therefore from 000 to 0 from 000 to 100, that is the symmetric stretch, because there is no change in dipole moment, that is not optically allowed even though your delta V is 1, and therefore this transition is not allowed, and therefore the possibility of this uh, getting populated in an electric discharge is less as compared to the upper laser level, which is good for us, because then we can think of some selective population of the upper laser level. The probability is less, but then yes, it does get populated, but the probability of the upper level getting populated is much more because it is optically allowed. This 020 is also not optically allowed. Delta V is 2, and therefore the lower laser levels do not get as much populated as the upper laser level. So now suppose we assume that yes, we have got population inversion. So then the upper laser level, there is a population inversion between 001 and 100. Let us for the time being not consider 9.6 micron, 9 micron band, because as I said, 9 micron branch has much lower gain as compared to 10 micron band, and therefore let us concentrate on 10 micron band at this point. So when the population through stimulated emission comes to 100, then from 100 it has to come down to the ground level, and this happens through collisions. The first is VV collision, that means it collides with, see, one thing is it can always collide with 0 to 0, and there is a, as I said, they're so close that the population, there is a total redistribution of population between the two. So you can assume that the population comes to this, there is an equilibrium between the two, and it can collide with 0, 0, 0, so that this will lead to 2 CO2 0, 1, 0. And here the difference in the energy is much smaller than kT, that is the average thermal energy, and therefore these are called resonant vibrational relaxation. As I have written here, it is rapid, this is resonant vibrational relaxation, which is very fast and which is very rapid. Why? Because it doesn't involve requirement of energy from outside, and therefore this molecule which is in 100 immediately comes down to 010. This is very fast. Now from 010 to ground, as we had seen last time, this relaxation is poor because the energy involved is very large, which is 667 centimeter inverse, and this has to, so there is no VV relaxation here. It has to, suppose it collides with a CO2 000, then what would happen? So it will only mean this has gone to the upper bending mode, and that comes down. So this does not change any situation. So this is not a solution. So this has to be only through VT relaxation. That means it collides with other molecules. It gives its energy as kinetic energy of those molecules. So this is slower, and this is the bottleneck of this particular system. Now, another thing that we would like to consider here, so even in pure CO2, although we are saying that there is a problem, there is a bottlenecking, etc., but C.K. and Patel did operate CO2 laser with pure CO2 laser gas mixture, and he has obtained, and the lasing, in fact the CO2 laser was first demonstrated in pure CO2 gas itself, and it has been improved further through various additions. Now, one more thing that I would like to just show here before we go to how it can be improved upon is that, you see, the upper laser level lifetime is, if we take say low pressure operation, it is few milliseconds. This is the upper laser level lifetime. Whereas the lower laser level lifetime is in microseconds, which is what you really want, because if this is large enough, then you can pump it for a longer time. You can allow the gain to build up, and once the gain is built, then stimulated emission can take place. And once stimulated emission takes place, because this has a much lower lifetime, this will be easily emptied, okay, thereby trying to maintain the inversion between the two lasing between the two lasing levels, between the upper and the lower laser level. So the lifetime of this system is apt, and once it comes to 010, this is where the bottleneck that we saw, and how to remove it. So this basically, a CO2 laser is a 4-level system: the ground, the upper level, this is the lasing level, and then this intermediate level. So a 4th-level system is definitely always superior. Because why it is superior? Because this level, you can consider the lower level is practically empty at normal temperatures, and therefore when you take the molecules to the upper level, the inversion is automatically created, and once inversion is created, the lasing can take place. And if this lower level has short lifetime, then this population is brought down from the lower laser level, emptying it, so that inversion can be created, and this chain can go on. Now, our most important task or problem that we have is that we had 2 problems basically. The problem is not efficient selective excitation by discharge. We have said that although upper laser level gets selectively more populated, the probability of the lower levels getting populated is less. Population inversion is created. Laser action has been shown, but may not be that it is the most efficient selective excitation. And the second problem that we have is this long-lived 010 level, which is the bottleneck. So how is that overcome? Well, it is overcome by the addition of nitrogen. You see, these I have shown here the vibrational ladder of nitrogen. This is N2 V equal to 0 and N2 V equal to 1. Can you just recollect how many vibrational ladders will a nitrogen have? Nitrogen is a diatomic molecule, linear molecule. So how many vibrational modes, normal modes of vibration it can have? We've seen just a while ago that it will have only one ladder of vibration. So this is the only ladder of vibration that a nitrogen molecule can have. So it can have V equal to 0, V equal to 1, V equal to 2, etc. But it is in this particular mode itself. The most important consideration here is that nitrogen V equal to 1, that is its first excited excited vibrational state V equal to 1, and the CO2 001 are very, very close, very, very close. They're 18 centimeter inverse, which is much, much less than KT. How much did we say KT is? KT is 200 centimeter inverse. So it is much less, it is 18 centimeter inverse. So collision of CO2 001 with nitrogen V equal to 0 can actually result in a very good exchange of energy. That means CO2 000 plus N2 V equal to 1 will lead to CO2 001 plus N2 V equal to 0. And this is very, very efficient because the energy involved is very small. It can be just taken from the ambient. So the energy involved is very less and these energy levels are very close. Yeah, but is that the only advantage? Another important advantage is that nitrogen is a linear diatomic molecule. It has only one ladder of vibrational modes, and another thing that I have told is that it is a linear symmetric diatomic molecule, and therefore when you say nitrogen, Nn, here also vibrational transition from V equal to 1 to V equal to 0 for nitrogen is prohibited. Why it is prohibited? Same as what we saw for CO2 100. This is symmetric. It does not have a dipole moment even in this V equal to 1 level, and when it comes down to ground level, that is N2 V equal to 0, there is no dipole moment. So nitrogen does not have any infrared vibrational spectrum. I think we discussed this before also, but I would like to say here that nitrogen by itself, it does not show any vibrational spectrum because there is no change in dipole moment. So the molecules which come to V equal to 1 or which come to say V equal to 2, they cannot come down radiatively. Means they cannot give out vibrational photons and come down radiatively. Therefore, these levels are metastable levels, meaning they are very long-lived levels because radiative transitions, their lifetimes are very large, radiative transitions are not allowed. And in a discharge, nitrogen up to almost V equal to 8 gets populated, and nitrogen V equal to 8 can collide with nitrogen V equal to 0 and come down to nitrogen V equal to 7 plus nitrogen sorry, plus nitrogen V equal to 1. So getting populated even up to higher level will only, and these, mind you, these kind of collisions, these kind of reactions are very very fast, because why? They do not involve any not much change of energy. These are resonant VV collisions, and these resonant VV transfer, we know, are very very efficient, and therefore the nitrogen which is populated V equal to 8, V equal to 7, eventually has to come down to V equal to 1. And if it eventually comes down to be equal to 1, then it can only give this energy, because it cannot come down by itself to the ground level, because the energy involved, you see, this energy is very very large. I think we have seen somewhere this energy is how much. This is 2350 centimeter inverse. So VT relaxation in this manner is almost not possible. So this is a metastable level of nitrogen V equal to 1, and even if it is populated up to V equal to 8, V equal to 7 in a discharge, that nitrogen population eventually comes down to V equal to 1 and transfers its energy to the CO2 molecule, which ground level CO2 molecule takes it to 001. So nitrogen basically acts as a storehouse of vibrational energy, which it transfers to the CO2 molecule which is in the ground level, and this efficient transfer of energy gives rise to selective excitation of the upper laser level 001. I hope you have understood how nitrogen, introduction of nitrogen into CO2 laser gas mixture improves the selective excitation. Basically, nitrogen has the first vibrational level, which is very close to the upper laser level of CO2, right? Therefore, CO2 ground, CO2 molecule in the ground state, when collides with nitrogen in the upper level, V equal to 1, can efficiently be taken to the upper laser level, while nitrogen comes down to the ground level. And nitrogen is very very well populated in an electric discharge, goes up to V equal to 8, and all this excitation in nitrogen is eventually realized as excitation of CO2 molecules to the upper level. And therefore addition of nitrogen greatly increases the selective excitation of a selective upper level population excitation in a CO2 laser. So now you have understood that by adding nitrogen into the laser gas mixture, one problem is solved, that is selective upper level excitation. So we can have a selective 001 excitation in a CO2 laser discharge with addition of nitrogen, and now in this condition we can think that the lower laser levels are almost empty, and whatever in a discharge, whatever is the population that comes into the 001, because this is almost practically empty, this creates population inversion, and therefore the lasing can take place. Now the other problem, that is, how do we take care of this bottleneck? How do we make this relaxation much faster? Now this is anyway through VT relaxation, and VT relaxation means you need another molecule to actually collide with CO2 in this level and carry away that excess energy, bringing it to the ground. So this is achieved by addition of large amount of helium. So what does helium do? Helium actually, the collision of CO2 010 plus helium atom, it is a monoatomic gas, it doesn't have its own vibrational levels, etc. So we need not be worried about helium getting vibrationally excited or having its own transitions, etc. Helium is a monoatomic gas. Okay, so helium, when it collides with 010, it brings down CO2 to 000 and its own kinetic energy increases. Increased kinetic energy. So, and adding large amount of helium to the CO2 laser gas mixture enables us to increase this reaction so that the helium carries away the excess quantum of bending mode energy that the CO2 molecule has, brings it to the ground level while helium itself is energized. This helium, because of its fast speed, because it is a lighter gas, so it moves fast, it collides with the walls and transfers this excess energy that it possesses to the walls of the CO2 laser discharge, and from the walls this excess heat is conducted away, as we had seen, through a flowing water. So the water actually removes this excess energy, and we have CO2 molecules in the ground level, which can be once again excited in a discharge directly or through collisions with nitrogen. So by addition of uh, nitrogen and CO2 greatly has seen to increase the efficiency of a CO2 laser to a very large extent. The laser, which initially gave few milliwatts of power, now this, with addition of CO2 and nitrogen, the operating efficiency can be as large as 20% or even more, and therefore the general CO2 laser gas mixture now is taken as for CW operation, it is roughly 1:1:4 for low pressure operation. Whereas for high pressure operation, it could be almost 1:1:10 for high pressure operation. Why for high pressure operation you require more helium? Well, we will see later on. Because there helium has two roles, not just depopulating the lower laser level, but it also has some other role. So, uh, so we will just go through the equations that are governing excitation. So we have seen that CO2 molecule in the ground 000, when it collides with electron of kinetic energy, uh, it, it gets excited to the upper laser level, and this electron is now of reduced energy. Further, this is one step of excitation, which is direct excitation through collision with electrons. Now the other one is, now this nitrogen which is in the discharge also undergoes similar kind of reaction. It goes to the upper excited level. Now here we have said only V equal to 1, but in a discharge you can go up to V equal to 8. Okay, and this nitrogen V equal to 1, when it collides with a CO2 molecule in the ground state, it itself comes down to the lower level, while it takes to the upper energy level. This is the upper lasing level. So these are the equations which govern the uh, excitation to the upper level. Now, from 001, it comes to 100 or 020, and from there what happens, CO2 in 100 it collides with ground, and you have 2 in the 010 state. Now as we said, the energy, these are fast resonant VV relaxations, because not much energy difference there is no energy requirement here for this to happen. Similarly, the molecule which is in 020, it collides again with ground CO2 molecule and comes down to 010. Okay, and as we said, because of the close energy proximity between 020 and 010, there is a constant population distribution between the two. Okay, this keeps happening, and these are the de-excitation. Now, from 010, the helium that is added in copious amounts, it brings down it removes the excess energy, excess bending vibrational energy, and brings the molecule to the ground level, and the helium becomes it has more kinetic energy. This helium, it discharges its energy into the walls of the discharge tube, from where this excess heat is conducted away by means of flowing coolant, which is chilled water or normal water, as the case may be. So the large amount of helium, CO2 and nitrogen, this gas combination greatly improves the operational efficiency of a CO2 laser, and because the CO2 molecule is going up, is being brought down, so the same molecule can be used again and again for excitation, and therefore it increases the operational efficiency of the laser, of the CO2 laser. So in this lecture, we have tried to understand the various levels of a CO2 molecule that are participating in the lasing action, why there is a problem when we use only CO2 gas in a CO2 laser, while one can get lasing action, because that was how it was demonstrated in the first instance by Professor C.K.N. Patel, but addition of nitrogen improves selective excitation, addition of helium removes the bottleneck and brings down and causes effective depopulation of the lower laser level, and therefore greatly improves the operational efficiency of a CO2